Hi, I'm Nicole Kemper. I'm a writer, actor, and filmmaker living in Atlanta, Georgia. This is 50 Foot Woman, and I've committed to shooting at least one roll of motion picture film per month. So one of my goals this year is that I really wanted to shoot some short films and comedy sketches in Super 8 on my Nikon R10. And there's one problem with that, and that is that Super 8 cameras don't really hold sync. When you shoot on motion picture film, you have to record sounds separately and then in post sort of sync those two things up. So syncing meaning that we align the sound with the picture so that when everyone's lips are moving, everything looks normal and you don't look like one of those badly dubbed films. There used to be back in the day film that Super 8 film that you could actually, if you had a special camera with a microphone attached to the camera, it would actually record the sound, the magnetic sound to the side on the same film strip. But they don't make that particular type of film anymore. And so a double system, which is recording the sound separately and the picture separately, and then syncing them in post is really your only option. So why can't you just synchronize picture and sound in post when you're working with a Super 8 camera? Well, the reason is because Super 8 cameras don't have what is called a crystal sync motor, and that is something inside that this crystal sync motor basically creates this pulse that keeps the motor running at a consistent 24 frames per second, or whatever frame rate you're setting. It keeps it at a consistent frame rate. So even if you set your audio recorder to 48 kilohertz, which is the standard sample rate for recording for film, and you set your camera to 24 frames per second, which is the standard frame rate for recording film for syncing picture and sound, you won't be able to easily sync up picture and sound in post because the camera will not necessarily stay to consistent 24 frames per second. There have been some Super 8 cameras that have been released recently that do have a crystal sync motor. Pro 8mm has been rebuilding cameras and sort of giving them a new life, and their highest end sort of Pro model does have crystal sync in it, and also the new Kodak camera that just came out also has a crystal sync motor in it. But most of the Super 8 cameras that you're gonna find on eBay, in fact, I would just say just anything that you're gonna find on eBay with Super 8 does not have that crystal sync motor. So how can you record dialogue and use it in a Super 8 film? Well, there are a couple of options. One option is that you have the actors speaking their lines, and maybe even you record some reference audio, and then you bring the actors back later after you've already cut the film, and you have them re-record the lines to the picture, which is known as ADR. That's not what I would consider to be a super desirable option. I've certainly watched films that have done it. It's very time consuming, and it's really difficult to sort of make it sound like it's happening in the space and not a studio. And also, unless you're working with incredibly seasoned actors who are accustomed to doing ADR, it is difficult for most people, I think, to really just like recreate the feeling of being on set, especially when they're often coming in and doing a recording without their scene partner. The other option is that you record your sync sound on set, you record your picture on your camera, and then you bring it into post and you manipulate the audio file or the video file in post to kind of keep to sort of keep that sync from slipping. And that's what I'm going to attempt this month, is to fake sync sound with Super 8. This experiment is based on two videos that I watched. Actually, I would say it's more than two videos, but two YouTubers that I've watched. One is Noah over at Analog Resurgence. He did a episode about Super 8 sound cameras. The other series of videos that I watched was by Filmboy24. He actually did multiple videos about faking sync sound using Super 8 cameras. So he did different models. He tried using electric motor cameras versus wind-up cameras, and he was able to successfully sync up picture and sound with some effort. Based on these videos, it looks to me like syncing sound when you have a camera with an electric motor seems to be a little bit more consistent. The wind-up cameras require a lot more chopping up and moving things around. But between those two YouTubers, I started to think that maybe this was possible. And based on those videos, I sort of put some rules for myself in place on set to try to maybe create an environment where it would make it easier for me to take these files in post and then manipulate them. So I got two of my friends, Aaron and Sam, together to shoot a short scene on the Nikon R10, which I already did a video about, so you can go back and check out that camera. Sam and Aaron are improvisers. Actually, all of us are on an improv team called AU Guys. And so what I did is I just kind of gave them a scenario and I asked them to improvise it. And then we kind of sort of repeated it in various different shots. So even though the scene would change slightly, we tried to kind of pick up threads and carry them so that we could cut those different shots together. Because the point for me was not just, can I record someone talking in one spot for a length of time and see if I can keep it in sync, but could I also go from a wide shot to a close-up and to another character, can I actually cut a scene together using this method of faking sync sound. I used the Nikon R10 to shoot it, and I used this guy to mic them up. So this is the Zoom F2BT. I have two of these guys. They are lavaliers, I guess is the best way to describe it, but they're not like traditional lavaliers. Everything is contained within this little guy here. So you don't have, usually with the lavaliers, you have a transmitter and a receiver. And so the signal is either wired or wirelessly going between the actor and the sound person. The unique thing about this particular device is that everything is contained in the device, so you just clip it to the actor and you hit record and you go. The other cool thing about it is that it doesn't require that you continually monitor the levels. It's got what the site calls 32-bit float technology, which means that it is keeping itself it's keeping the audio from overmodulating or going too high on its own, and so you don't need to be constantly writing the levels. Now I have, if you're saying to yourself, yeah, I've heard that before, why would I don't want to use that because I'll hear a noticeable dip every time the volume of somebody's voice changes. And yeah, a lot of audio settings do that, but I've had these for quite some time, and what was a mind blower for me, what really blew my mind, was that I actually can't really tell a difference. Now, I am an editor. I am not I wouldn't consider myself to be an audio engineer, although I have done location sound recording. I have mics, I have lavaliers, I have a boom, I have an audio recorder, and for many of my friends, I have done audio location sound for and from independent films that my friends have done. And so while I don't consider myself to be a top-notch audio engineer, I can tell the difference when audio is dipping, and I have not noticed anything out of the ordinary. And in fact, I use this mic all the time. You're listening to it right now. I have one strapped to me right now, and all the videos that I've done for this 50-Foot Woman series have been the audio that you hear is from one of these devices. So I think what makes the Zoom F2BT so useful for a situation like this is that I really didn't have a team. It was just me and Sam and Aaron. And of course, when I actually shoot a film or a sketch, I will have other people there. But if you've got a really small team, it might be helpful to have those because you don't, especially if you've got maybe somebody who's less experienced and that's helping you out and you're not really sure, it's really like being able to hit record and stop and hit record and stop. And really the low maintenance of it is pretty useful. It is a little terrifying because you can only hear the playback when you are when you have a direct audio jack plugged into the recorder. You really can't, you really can't monitor during the take, which can be very stressful. So I would say for a test like this, it was fine and I wasn't worried about it. And of course, when I'm recording my own videos, I check the audio before I start. It does, and I've got it going right now. There is an app that you can use to turn the recording on, and of course you can see the levels going. So you can visually monitor what's going on, but you can't hear what's going on. And as you know, if you've ever done any kind of sound recording, you can really pick up a lot more when you're just really focusing on the sound and listening to the mic. So I would say for something like this, totally fine. If I was using these on a short film or something, I would still use them and mic all the actors because frankly, they sound better than my lavaliers, which are not the most high end. But I would also have someone run a boom, to have that person running sound, listening to what's going on. And that way you're getting good sound through the boom, and then you've also got those lavaliers to work with. I really loved the footage that came back. I shot it in black and white. The black and white looks really nice through that lens on the Nikon R10. Generally, I'm really happy with the sound. There are some challenges, of course. Number one, I'm gonna have to pull all this stuff in. I did slate, and again, this was based on the videos I watched by Filmboy24. I did slate at the beginning and end of the shot, and I'm gonna kind of use that as a reference point. I may have to cut it up and move it around. Really gonna have to see. The other problem is that these cameras are really loud. These Super 8 cameras were not intended for sync sound, so the motor is very loud, and even though I was at least 5 or 6 feet away from Sam and Aaron, you can really hear it on the microphone, and this is what it sounds like.
This is my first time using Uber in like 18 months.
Yeah, so it's very noticeable, and in defense of my camera, I also didn't put a blimp on it, meaning I didn't wrap it in a towel or anything. Definitely in the future, if I'm actually shooting a film, I would want to put something on there to try to dampen the noise, which I did not do. So I'm gonna see if there's any possible way to use some noise reduction tools in Adobe Audition and see if maybe I can at least cut back on the sound of the camera a little bit, or maybe in the sound design of the scene, we just kind of accept that that's part of the sound design and we make it at least sound consistent. I'm really excited to see how this turns out. I would love to shoot some short films or sketches on Super 8. And certainly, there's a lot of really wonderful stories you can tell with no dialogue. But if I can figure out not just how to fake sync sound on Super 8, but also figure out a way to do it that's not such a pain that it's just not worth spending the time on, then that would be really exciting. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I hope that you will come back and see what happens next week. I release new videos every Wednesday right here on this channel. Of course, if you subscribe to the channel, you will not miss it. The channel is Critical Crop Top Films, and all of the videos from the series are in the 50 Foot Woman playlist. I also have a blog on Substack where I post these videos, but I also post sort of diary entries about my experiences shooting with motion picture film, but also still photography. So if you're wanting more, I am going to put a link to my Substack down in the description of this video. I'm really not sure how this is going to turn out, so I'm just as excited as you are to find out. Don't be afraid to do something that sounds crazy, and let's shoot more film, you guys.